Hi.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, is that Nekoma?
Good to see you.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Hi, Tom.
Madonna. Hold on.
Yeah, bye.
Hi.
Hi.
Well,
Hello. Hey, Tom. So good to see you.
oh, is that Revital?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the invitation to be with
Hello,
all of you.
everyone.
Yeah, so amazing time there. Challenging or tremendous opportunity, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it, the situation. So what's on your mind? What do you want to explore together?
I don't know what's together. I know what's bothering me just now is about the families that are losing their children. I mean, the soldiers. So I'm worried about those families. Well,
That are losing their children?
yeah, this. I mean, yeah, what they
Uh,
feel almost every day somebody gets killed. I mean, of the soldiers. And I'm thinking, well, they are okay. They're somewhere in heaven, let's say.
yeah, some other dimension.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But the families, the bereavement, the pain, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of it. I'm thinking, what can I do to make it better for them? Maybe
Mm.
I'm crazy, okay, but but
Maybe. Maybe we're
I,
all crazy.
I
Maybe,
can tell to you, I can tell it.
yeah, I mean, maybe we're all crazy for, signing up for this trip on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how to,
Tom,
yeah,
you hear me?
I do.
What's bothering me in the last month? Um, I have a general feeling of not being safe,
Yeah.
even though where I live in the center of Jerusalem, and it's been totally safe. But I moved to our bomb shelter for a month. I just came out of it a week ago. Um, and I have all kinds of scenarios going through my mind. And my mind is telling me that everything is as it should be, and every bullet has an address and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a constant feeling of fear, like a center of fear in my body the whole time.
Okay. Are you aware of that right now?
I think really 98% of the last month and a half.
Are you
Right
aware
now,
of,
also, yes,
yeah, yeah. Okay. And where in the body do you experience the fear? What you
around
call
here,
fear?
around here, like between
Okay.
the lungs, the heart and between the lungs.
Okay. Well, let's start by and we're just experimenting, we're just exploring together. But to start with, as best we can, just welcoming the sensation that you call fear. Allow it to be as big and full as it is. So this sensation in the chest area means you're not safe. Is that true?
No.
And just let that in. And now notice how you react when you believe if this sensation means it's proof, like when you use it as proof that you're not safe. You really believe it means I'm not safe. And how do you react whenever you tell that story, I'm not safe?
I should answer, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
I decide whether to leave the house or not based on that. I make my calculations. How far should I go? Where should I go? Where should I not go? Where should I let my kids go or not go? I suspect every person that walks down my street. I hear every sound and think it's someone opening my door. I wake up at night. I wonder whether I even have the right to be safe while other people are not. Maybe it's an illusion that I'm safe. It's a sunny day, but what can happen the next moment? It's the quiet before the storm.
Yeah, you know, one aspect of whatever story we're telling or believing, one aspect of it is the story takes charge of our imagination. It's like the story we're believing dictates the imagination. It also dictates how we interpret whatever we're noticing, you know, like sounds, people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's to see clearly that it's coming from the story. I'm not. If does a safe place even exist in your world?
Yeah, when I read a book, when I learn something, when I'm having a conversation about something else.
Oh yeah, when you're not thinking the thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you're not thinking the thought. So has there ever been one moment in your entire life where you were not safe in reality?
No, not in my life.
Yeah, and just let that in. So who would you be if you could not think this thought? Or how would it be if you could not think this thought? I'm not safe.
Can I add a thought that seems to be like a twin thought that goes along with it, particularly in the last month and a half?
Yeah.
So if there comes a moment when I feel safe and it lasts too long, like I'm reading a book for more than a few minutes and really enjoying it, I wonder whether I shouldn't now be thinking about the hostages. Is it okay that I'm not thinking about them for more than a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
So if I'm already feeling more safety, I feel guilty for feeling that.
Yeah, for feeling safe, or you know, and this is common for most of us when we're aware, you know, when life events make us aware of some kind of suffering on the planet. You know, it's like, wow, why do I have the right to be safe or even happy, peaceful when all this is going on? So
It's
when
usually easier for me when it comes to the rest of the planet, but there's a neighbor who's a hostage, and I met his mother, and it's much more personal.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're not thinking of them, what's the guilt saying? You know, what's the guilt saying is
If
happening?
if I'm not thinking about what?
You know, your neighbor who's suffering, the hostages, if you're not thinking about them, the guilt, what's the guilt labeling that as?
I am having it too good.
Yeah.
I should either suffer a little for them, or go out of my way. I'll be a little more specific. So there's a tradition to say Psalms as a type of prayer. And some people are capable of saying the whole book of Psalms multiple times a week. And for me, it's a little hard. I can say 10 at a time, and then I really need a break. So I say, oh, well, I should pick up the Psalms again and say a few more. And then I don't.
Yeah. And if you don't, what's your mind label that as?
Laziness, not okay. Thinking selfishness, I think only about myself. I'm not doing enough for them.
Yeah.
Other people are packing things for soldiers and traveling around the country to make soldiers happy and to bring packages. And I'm here with my kids, so at least I should say Psalms. And here I am not doing it.
Yeah. Okay. And because you're not doing it, what do you deserve?
To at least be bothered by my thinking and not be calm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and this is a common belief, you know, if I don't suffer, that means I don't care.
Or if I don't do more, even if it means suffering, for me, saying extra Psalms is already not fun. It's really, for me, going out of my way. If I don't do that, I'm not okay.
Okay. So now look at your children. And and then do you also have a partner, a husband, or a partner? Do you have some kind of job, or
I would call it, I have some work to do. Yeah.
Some work. And do you have your own body to take care of?
Yeah.
Okay, so and then now you have hostages or neighbors who are suffering at some loss. And the reality is, if you look at all the different aspects of our being human, you could spend all your time on one aspect, on your partner. There could always be more you could do in every area of your life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And at some point we draw the line. This is as much as I'm going to do in relation to my partner. This is as much as I'm going to do in relation to my children, in relation to work, in relation to suffering neighbors or hostages. Like, this is as much as I'm going to do. And usually we don't want to let in that this is it. This is my limit. We don't want to acknowledge this is as much as I'm willing to do in this area of my life. And so now
I think you're taking it in the right direction. I really didn't think it would go in this direction, but I realized that I also feel like in general I'm not doing enough.
That's right.
I'm not doing enough to justify not saying more to him. You know, I'm not doing enough, so at least I should do all these extra things that are like the thing we need to do these days.
Yeah, yeah.
I should take it upon myself as a job.
Yeah, and if you don't, then how we pay for not doing more is guilt. Or some form of suffering, but often guilt.
Yeah.
That's how I pay for not doing more in this area, that area, the other area.
Right.
So now prior to this situation, prior to this 6 weeks, did you notice feeling guilt in your life?
For not doing enough?
Uh-huh.
Not so much, no.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
And when I did, I do the work with myself a lot. So I always, you know, I checked, where am I being lazy, or where can I really do more? Where's my job, just to be really available for my kids, which doesn't look like much, but I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I would say it was okay, but now it's coming up. So I guess there's more to that than I thought.
Is that true?
What?
You're not doing enough. Is that true?
Right now? Yes.
Yeah. And can you absolutely know that that's true?
No.
And just let that in. Like, really, really don't know that. So what you can know is how you react, what happens every time you tell this story. I'm not doing enough.
I feel like everyone is smarter than me, knows better how to handle, how to behave, how to conduct themselves in these situations. I feel like I'm lazy. Not strong enough, not pushy enough, but pushy in a good way, like taking initiative, not taking enough initiative, not making enough of an effort, not willing to sacrifice more of myself, my time, my health, my sleep, my...
Yeah. Yeah. You know, amazing to notice how much we glorify sacrifice.
I make little of what I do sacrifice, because I have my own, you know, we all have this big war, but everyone also has their own battles, and I'm available for those battles. And then I make little of what I do give of myself.
Yeah. So you're not doing enough. Yeah, so you make little of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so imagine you never even heard the idea of not doing enough. This concept just doesn't exist for you. And notice your experience without this story.
So for that, I also need to forget that there's a war, which I do occasionally during the day. And then I'm just flowing with my role as mother and as myself and wife, friend, neighbor.
Yeah. It's like what I'm hearing is you're present and available to so bring the thought back in. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing
Yeah.
enough. And just feel it again. Notice again the trip it takes you on. I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, I'm not doing enough for the war. If I'm willing to accept that I'm doing enough for my family, then still I'm not doing enough for the war.
Yeah.
I'm not present enough. I'll tell you how I compensate for that. I check the news more often than I would like to.
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid, but it feels very real. Like that is my contribution.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to do something. You're not doing enough. Yeah. Okay. So now believing this thought, the effect of believing you're not doing enough, does it actually help you show up in your life the way you would like to show up?
Yes and no.
Okay. Tell me the yes part. How does it help you show up the way you would like to show up?
So I do say more psalms than I normally do. And I also found a way to enjoy it and feel like it's a big achievement. And yeah, that makes me feel good. And I don't overdo it, but I do more.
Okay.
I offer to do the work with people who are having their small battles, not people that are dealing with war stuff, but with other things. And I'm sure that this whole war situation is adding to their stress. So I offered a few free sessions, which I think really came from the place of guilt, but I'm very happy I offered it.
Yeah.
And yeah, these are two things that I added.
Okay. And so you think showing up with guilt, that's how you want to show up in life?
No.
No. And is that what you want to use as your motive for doing things? Guilt?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And that's what the story does. So the effect is guilt, and then guilt becomes the motive for your actions. Sounds like.
Yeah, then they took a life of their own, but that was the motive.
Yeah. Okay. So now notice what you don't like about telling this story. I'm not doing enough.
I don't like that it's a whole judgment of my personality and my limitations, how much energy I have. I don't have a driver's license, so I can't go north or south and bring packages. My children have their own needs, so I can't drive them crazy with let's volunteer here and let's do this and let's say psalms all day. Like I can't drive the people around me crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so now allow yourself again to be without the story, as if you never heard the idea of not doing enough. And again, just notice your experience without this story. Notice your presence without this story.
Without the story that I'm not doing enough, I realized that when I knew that people needed some help and I came along, most of the time, everything was taken care of and nobody needed me.
Yeah.
And when someone did need me, I found a way to either help by doing something myself or sending one of my kids who was willing to do it, one of my older kids or one of my younger kids. And I guess that was enough for the situation because they actually didn't need more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But that also comes with some guilt. Like, I came too late. Everyone came before me, so they don't need my help.
Oh, I see.
I
Yeah,
can't win.
Yeah, it's like a competition.
Yeah.
Who can help the most? Yeah, so you're in some kind of competition with the rest of
the Jewish people.
The rest of the Jewish people, the rest of the people around you. You're in a competition. Is that true?
It feels like it.
Yeah. So how do you react? What happens when you really think you're in some kind of competition around this being of service or helping?
Then I lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a loser.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not okay.
Yeah. And is that how you want to show up with your children? From that inner position?
No.
Yeah. So who would you be without this idea that there's some kind of competition around this being of service or helping? Totally free of believing there's any kind of competition going on.
Hard for me to be without that thought.
So what are you afraid would happen if you let go of it completely?
I'll be ungrateful for being safe, for being in the position that I can help other people because I'm mentally stable and my family's doing well. All of it, thank God. And it's like I'm not taking advantage of my good fortune to help other people.
Okay,
and
so
it's morally wrong.
Yeah, so how grateful are you when you're believing it's a competition?
I forget to be grateful.
Yeah, there's no room. Yeah, so what I hear the mind is saying, if you let go of this, you won't be grateful for your situation. It's good to notice when you hold on to this, it's a competition. There's no room for gratitude. So if you let go completely, you would not be grateful for the fact that you and your family are safe, have been safe through this. Do you know that for sure?
No, but does gratitude have to come with action?
Does gratitude have to come with action? Is that a question?
Yeah.
No, definitely. Gratitude's an experience, just like love, just like peace. You know, action happens, and internally, we can be active from an internal place of gratitude and peace or love. And we can also be active from an internal place of guilt and competition. So the inner experience has nothing to do with action. Gratitude's just an experience. And it affects our presence as we act in the world. Okay, so you want to try question number 4 again on this competition thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine you never even heard the idea of competition.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know what it is, and who would you be without any kind of story of competition?
Then I'm very happy with my life, with my day, with what I'm doing in my day. And I realized that I've known myself for a long time, and I'm really doing everything I can to have a full day.
Yeah.
And I enjoy my schedule. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Happiness can get a bad rap as being selfish.
Yeah, when people ask now, how are you doing? You got to be careful.
It's like, oh, I'm so happy.
You got to make sure not to look too happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have this all the time, but it gets, accentuated in a time like you're experiencing now,
Yeah.
where the suffering is more prevalent and more intense. But most of us have learned to hide our happiness.
Yeah. So without the thought, I don't calculate my happiness. And if people ask me how I'm doing, if I could, without a thought, I would just say I'm doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm looking, and that makes me happy. Even the search is making me happy. We're here to search for meaning and to find it, and that's happiness. So I'm really doing fine.
Yeah.
That's without the thought.
Yeah. Could be some of our main problems on the planet is a lack of happy people, genuinely happy people.
Yeah.
Okay, so turn it around. It's a competition. This being of service, helping, supporting.
Mm-hmm. So it's not competition. It's not competition when I don't think about what other people are doing now with their time. It's not competition. Yeah.
Well, look at what people are doing. Stay with seeing what you are aware of that people are doing.
Okay.
And look at that and go, it's not a competition. Could that be true?
Oh gosh, yeah, it can be true because I have a lot going on in my life. I just forgot because I'm handling it very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I'm really you can put me in the competition.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any better than other people in some senses, but I'm dealing with it really well.
Yeah.
So
What's the opposite of competition in your mind? So it's not a competition to look at everyone's doing whatever they're doing, including you. And it's not a competition.
It's a personal journey.
Ah, could that be more accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't pretend that I'm a hostage, God forbid, or that one of my family members is. They're not. So I have to
Yeah.
live the life that I have.
Well, we're all
You're frozen. We can't hear you.
I
Now we
said
can hear you.
we're all hostages in some way. We're hostages to the story we're telling.
Mm,
Because whatever we believe, if we believe it, we have to think and feel and act from the belief. There's no other option. Whatever we believe, we have to think from that belief, feel from that belief, and our decisions come from that belief as well. It's like the ultimate hostage situation. There is no freedom of being.
Mm-hmm. So if the turnaround is that it's a personal journey, then in my journey, I need to come out of my own prison of the mind.
Yeah. You know, and for all we
In
know,
my given situation.
that's right. And because you can't come out of someone else's prison.
I also can't take them out of their prison. I'm not in any position to do that.
Yeah. You know, free the hostage, free the hostages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they're sitting on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm. You know, what else for opposite of competition? I was like, it's a cooperation, maybe might be an opposite for competition.
Yeah. I like that. So a lot of things are going on that are continuing to go on as the war is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is doing their part. I'm also
Yeah.
doing my part.
That's right. And you see people flowing into a job and flowing out, and someone else flowing in and flowing out, and new jobs arising and someone coming in. They
Yeah.
burn out and someone else steps up.
I'm also thinking about how sometimes we feel like it's much more impressive to do an act of kindness to a stranger, but my children also needs all my acts of kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them need even more than the regular amount of attention
Yeah,
that kids normally need.
Yeah.
And when I do that, it's my share.
Yeah. And you know that some say that it's better acts of kindness to a stranger, you know, that's back in that whole competition for the, you know, the kindest person, the one of the greatest service, the one, you know, it's you could say pure ego.
Yeah. And I think cooperation could be also that I understand that if all of the jobs are taken and there's no need for more volunteers, then it's okay that it's not me. It's someone else's turn to do whatever they're doing.
Yeah. It's a cooperation.
I let them have the opportunity to do kindness.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on that?
No, I don't see anything. No.
Thank you for, you know, bringing that up and being willing to look.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Nechama, you mentioned looking at imagining the families suffering over their losses. Yeah. And you're muted. Have you experienced loss in your life, personal loss in your life? And you're muted, honey. Still muted.
נחמה, את במיוט.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, when
Yes.
I was about 5, I think, I lost my father. It was during the Holocaust. And the funny thing, not funny, that I remember my father, but I had no feelings for him, not at all.
Yeah.
Yes. It was like the thinking, who needs a father?
Well,
Yeah.
that's you know, an odd to our normal way of thinking, that's an odd kind of freedom.
Yeah, very odd. That's how I so-called survive somehow.
Yeah. Okay. So then, who are the people you're imagining suffering? Like parents?
Parents and also spouses and children.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the families. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so what are you imagining about their suffering?
I wanted to say something that the children is less than the grown-ups. Meaning, as far as my experience, the children just get what the grown-ups, I mean, the parents feel. So it's, you see, so it's not the children here. It's more the parents and the spouses.
Yeah.
And what you were asking, can you
what do you
ask again?
What are you imagining the parents are experiencing?
A lot of pain.
Okay.
Terrible pain, and they're experiencing like not being, I don't know how to say it, not being okay with it. I mean, not accepting it. They say, why should it have happened? It's not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
The pain with why?
Yeah.
It's very. I feel it's very strong in my body when I'm saying it now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you know for sure that's what they're experiencing? Do you know for sure they're holding on to it's not okay? This shouldn't have happened.
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
No.
So now it could be true. It's possible because we've more than likely we've all experienced that where we're holding on to this is wrong. It's not okay. It shouldn't be this way. It should never have happened. It's unfair.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is, you could say this is how we hurt ourselves with our stories. You know, innocently. So on your part, it's not okay. It shouldn't be that way. Let's say that your imagination is true. That is what they're doing. So it's not okay. They should not be doing that. Is that true?
When you say they should not be doing it, I mean, they shouldn't have been died or they shouldn't have been killed.
No, the parents are in your imagination. Oh, that's where you go. They shouldn't have died.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
Oh, okay. Can you absolutely know they should not have died?
No, I'm complicating it. I'm imagining, let's say the parents,
Yeah,
thinking to themselves, my son shouldn't have been killed, shouldn't
Yeah.
have died. It's not okay.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so let's work with it as if your imagination is accurate.
Mhm.
Yeah. So those parents should not be thinking that way. Is that true?
No,
No. So the turnaround, they should be thinking that way, if that's the way they're thinking. Okay, so again, working with this as if your imagination is true, which you don't know for sure that's what's going on. They should be thinking this way. Until they don't, just like everyone.
what I understand from this actually is that I should give them permission to suffer.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yes, that's very somehow opening. Yes.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
didn't think of it. It's okay to suffer.
Yeah, and everyone, you could say everyone, around this loss, around death, around, especially, this form of death, which most of us hold as, wrong. It's just the wrong way to die.
Mhm, mhm.
But everyone needs to explore this. It's kind of like the last inquiry. Everyone has their individual path on their exploration of death and loss.
Yeah, I think it was so for me, this moment, what I said, that I didn't suffer for my father. In this moment, I can see that it's okay to suffer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to give permission to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah. So just feel that within yourself.
Yeah, I just do.
Yeah. 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 Already
Yeah,
experiencing it.
yeah, this is, I think I am afraid of suffering. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. I am afraid. I'm afraid that something will happen to my family, and I'm afraid of suffering.
Yeah.
And this is what I suffer all my life, being afraid of suffering, not allowing. Wow, that's amazing.
And yeah. Yeah. So within yourself, give everyone permission to suffer in whatever way they need to suffer, including yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And this suffering that seems like we all experience, it's something we need to be afraid of. Is that true?
Can you repeat the question, please?
This suffering, which it's mostly emotional kind of suffering that most of us go through,
Yeah, sure.
but all the various forms of suffering, this suffering, it's something that we need to be afraid of experiencing. Is that true?
No,
No.
no.
Anyone have a yes in the group? This is something we need to be afraid of.
I can definitely say it's something I need to avoid, like really make an effort to avoid, suffering.
Okay. Yeah, so you need to be afraid of or avoid suffering. Is that true?
Well, it's pretty shitty. So yes.
Yeah, I agree. It sucks when we're suffering, and it's something you need to avoid or be afraid of. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
When it's continuous for so long, like 6 weeks of it, like that is of horror, it just feels almost like unbearable. It's just.
Okay, so it's unbearable. It's been unbearable. Is that true? The 6 weeks. It's been unbearable. Is that true?
Yeah.
What's your proof? I mean, here you are. It's been unbearable.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's kind of like it's yeah, I know what you mean, but it just sucks.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. It sucks. So it's unbearable is different.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, this is one of the beliefs that we have that cause us to be really terrified of suffering. I think we've all been convinced there's some kind of unbearable suffering, unbearable pain out there in the future. So how do you react? What happens when you really believe there's some kind of unbearable pain, unbearable suffering that exists? How do you react when you believe this is the truth about life? There's some unbearable suffering, some unbearable pain. And let this be a group inquiry.
Mm-hmm. So I try to avoid it by all means.
I feel anxious. I suffer now.
Yeah, I suffer now. That's the best one to notice.
I resist everything. I get angry. I get angry. I resist everything that can come from the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some kind of unbearable pain, unbearable suffering out there in existence.
It's hard to breathe.
It's hard to what?
To breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's always going to continue forever and ever.
I believe that you must prepare to be able to fight that unbearable, maybe to avoid it somehow by being prepared.
Yeah, to avoid, to fight, but some kind of preparation.
It's a lot of preparation because we don't know for what.
Yeah, for what, for when, for how. Go ahead.
I do a lot of active things to save, to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The unknown.
And one of the big things I notice is it gives me a negative relationship with life. I think it's about avoidance, limitations, preparation, but it's like a negative motivation behind my thinking and decisions. Some kind of unbearable pain and suffering out there.
I have the thought that if I'm not experiencing that pain, then somehow my life is fake because I know it's out there, but I haven't experienced it. So I've kind of lost.
Wow. Have you experienced happiness and joy
Yeah.
and love?
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny because over time I've noticed a great majority of us believe in the negative is more real than the positive. The positive is like, foo-foo, hippie, la la land, but the suffering, that's what's real.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You see someone really happy and joyous, and it's like, man, get your feet on the ground, get real. So there's some kind of unbearable pain and suffering that exists, that's out there. So believing this story, does it give you a big fat yes to life?
No.
No.
Till you feel like you want to die.
Yeah. It's like, let's get it over with. Man, the wait, the anticipation is killing me.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what I notice, it actually creates a desire within us to get it over with.
Mhm.
Okay. So imagine you're completely free of this idea, this concept. It doesn't exist at all in your mind. The idea of unbearable pain or unbearable suffering. So allow yourself to be without this concept and just notice your experience without it. Notice your presence without it.
I just breathe freely.
I'm free.
I can be together with life.
Mm.
Mhm.
I can't imagine this right now, actually.
Yeah, you can't be without it. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so notice what it's like with it again. Just allow yourself to fully experience believing in unbearable pain and suffering. What's the effect?
Going back to the hostages, which I can only imagine, so the effect is that I'd rather die.
You mean imagining what they went through from
Yeah,
the
that
from the
it's just
stories
better to
that you've
die.
heard? Yeah.
Yeah, I also see my mind all kind of scenarios in which I would.
I missed that. It was cutting out on my end. Can you guys hear me? No.
I can't hear you.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I can't hear the woman that was talking. It was cut all
Oh,
the
okay.
time.
Okay. So try again, whoever was sharing. Try one more time.
I said that I see all kind of scenarios in which I would prefer to be dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So again, for me, I loved seeing how every story I believed took control of my imagination. Like it dictated what I began to imagine. And it was always some form of suffering. Whatever the story caused me to imagine, the imagination would always cause some kind of fear, tension, pain, suffering.
What I seem to not get through is that I know that for me, it is just my imagination.
What?
Somebody, there was the reality thing.
But for somebody, it cut out again for me. But for somebody, it's reality. Is that what you said?
For somebody, it was a reality. Yes.
Yeah. And so do you know for sure what they experienced?
No.
No, don't know for sure. You know, it's not saying, in no way is it saying that what you're imagining was not the case. It's just noticing, I don't know for sure what they experienced. I know the outer description. I don't know the inner experience. I don't know that it was unbearable, you know, prior to death.
Tom, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
When someone does cutting, you know, how teenagers like to sometimes cut themselves because they're suffering so much, or taking pills in an attempt to commit suicide, is it not the proof of what's going on in their mind, that they're really suffering and it's unbearable for them?
Well, it's not absolute proof for us, for me. It doesn't give me absolute proof. That's all. Like, I'm not inside them. I don't know for sure what they're experiencing when they're cutting or taking the pills. I can imagine from my own experience of when I've wanted to hurt myself or I've wanted to end my life. So I can imagine from my own experience, but I'm not inside them. I don't know for sure what's going on there.
So how do you explain the cutting and the real attempt to end their life?
Well, I can only explain it from my own experience.
Why would they be doing it if they...
I can't explain it from their experience. I can only explain it from mine.
Right, I understand. We can't go into their mind, but the expression of what's going on in their mind shows that it's unbearable for them.
Well, actually, the evidence is that it's bearable so far. They're cutting themselves. That's how they're bearing it.
And
Right.
trying to commit suicide.
Unsuccessfully or successfully, but
both.
Up into the moment that it's successful, it's they're bearing their suffering.
And maybe asking for help.
More than likely. But it's just noticing, you know, I'm not inside that person's awareness experiencing what they're experiencing. So I don't absolutely know. That doesn't mean my assessment is not accurate. You know, it's just noticing I don't know for sure what happened. You know, like I was thinking of some of the things that I've heard, you know, that people go through in war situations, the body stuff, you know, the mangling of bodies prior to dying. And, you know, and you hear stories of at some point, the person actually leaves the body and they're up on the ceiling and they're watching what's happening to the body. I have friends who've been doing the work for a long time, and at some point, and they were sexually and physically abused as children. And at some point, they all of a sudden they saw clearly, anyway, they saw very clearly that they are not the body. And that, and I mean, it's like full on experience. They were never abused. That was imagination. They imagined being this body. And because imagination is so convincing, they felt abused. And when they saw that, all the trauma disappeared that they'd been carrying for years. So we don't know for sure what these people went through. You know, the ones that survived can describe what their experiences. The ones who died don't know for sure. You know, but at the moment of death, they're no longer identified as a body. So what you are is a body. You are dependent on, limited to, you are this body. Is that true? Separate from all the other bodies. Is that true?
Actually, I don't know. I've never lived without my body, or I have no memory of an existing without the body. I don't really know. You know, I believe that I'm a soul and that the soul is wider than the body, but this is just another belief. I don't know. I have no experience of not being a body.
Yeah, so now let that in. I don't know. It's so powerful. I don't know. I don't know that I am this body, or that I'm limited to and dependent on this body. I don't know that. Does everyone see that? I don't know that for sure. You know, I love question 2 because it's not saying that it's not true. It's just acknowledging, I don't know for sure, one way or the other.
I can stop the diet now.
Yeah, you can stop the concern with appearances, or, you know, keeping the body alive. So how do you react? You know, I'd love, once we move to question 3, we're done with whether it's true or not. Completely done with that contemplation. And number 3, we're doing the best we can to see very clearly the effect of thinking this way. That's all. It's you could say it's information on how thinking this way affects my experience. That's it. So how do you react? What happens when you believe you're a body, or you believe you're dependent on this body, limited to, dependent on this body, and that it's separate from all the other bodies? How do you react when you believe this story?
Unbearable suffering.
It's coming.
Yeah, misery.
A lot of worry and trying to be careful so I don't cause any harm to any of my limbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't accidentally cut my life short,
Yeah.
end up on the streets in poverty or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So start to live very carefully. That's one effect.
Not being able to enjoy the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Worried about not having money or not having where to live.
Yeah. Yeah. The moment we identify with the body, then we experience ourselves as dependent on everything the body's dependent on. Air, water, food, clothing, reputation, money, house. We become dependent on things that come and go, that we have no control over. Or
Other people around us.
mm-hmm. And again,
back with my children body, like immediately I go there.
Mm-hmm. To your children's bodies?
Yeah, like that's this is where it takes me.
Mm-hmm.
Pictured like I'm afraid that something will happen to them because I identified with their body, the part of me.
Yeah, so say that again.
Separation, loneliness, competition that we spoke about before comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Also, all the time I need something. I need.
Yeah.
All the time.
Not being able to surrender to life.
I don't enjoy my body. I'm just worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
I look at other people sometimes as enemies.
Oh, when we identify as a body, like we could choke to death on a carrot, it's like everything's a threat.
Yes.
I don't dare to live fully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't trust life when I believe in my body.
Yeah. Fear and the need for control. Okay, so again, do you absolutely know that it's true that you are this body, or that you are dependent and limited to this body? Do you know for sure? Do you have any legitimate evidence that you're limited to or dependent on this body? Do you have any absolute proof that you're limited to or dependent on this body?
No.
Okay. Okay, so let's look. This is kind of a deep dive, you could say, in is it true? But let's look at our actual experience. So do you notice that you are aware or conscious? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so now look at your experience of thoughts and images in the mind. So now this awareness that you are, is it located in one of those thoughts or images? Or are the thoughts and the images located in the awareness? Just looking at your own experience.
The thoughts and images are in the awareness.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so look at feelings or body sensations like energy in the body. And this awareness that you know for sure that you are, is it located in one of those feelings or sensations in the body, or are the feelings and sensations located in the awareness, in your experience?
They're located in the experience, in the awareness.
Yeah. Okay, so now look at perceptions of the world through the five senses. And let's start with sight, the seeing. So now, usually what happens, what we've been doing forever, for a long time, is imagining the awareness that we are inside the head, looking through the eyes. Okay, so now that, if you really look at that experience, it's made up of a sensation in the center of the head usually, and it's made up of an image I'm imagining looking through the eyes. And notice how the sensation in the center of the head happens in the awareness. The awareness doesn't happen in the sensation. And the imagination of looking through the eyes happens in the awareness as well. And whatever we're looking at, whatever the object that we're perceiving, that happens in the awareness also. But notice how the awareness is not, again, it's not in the sensation that we imagine, and the imagination of the being in the head. The imagination and the sensation working together actually appear in the awareness. But it's a very clever illusion, because you have an image and a sensation working together, plus the perception of sight. And it becomes very convincing. Oh, I'm here. I'm located in the head. Or if we're heart-centered, I'm located in the heart, in the sensation of the heart area. So now look at the experience of sound. So there's the hearing and the sound that is heard, the perception of a sound. So is the awareness in the perception of a sound, or is the perception of the sound in awareness? Okay, so now notice how, as usual, we have it backwards. So now, if you had no awareness at all, would there be a sound? Would there be a body? Would there be a world? If you had no awareness. So could it be more true that the body, the mind, and the world are dependent on awareness? That the awareness is not dependent on the body, the mind, and the world? That you can see from your own experience, it's 100% true. There is no body, mind, or world without awareness. The awareness, the world, the body, and the mind is dependent on awareness.
Wow.
So who would you be? Who would you be without the story, I'm dependent, I am dependent on this body, limited to this body, separate from all the other bodies? Imagine, as best you can, be without this idea that's been with us since we could understand what they were, till we finally figured out what they were telling us. You're a body with this name. But be without, as best you can, this idea that you're separate, that you're a body, dependent on the body. And just notice your presence without this story.
I care less what people think of what I'm wearing when I come into a room, into a party.
Yeah.
But you will still be wearing something.
Because I still have a body.
Or not.
Yeah. That's, the mind loves to throw up little fear. Oh, don't go there, because you're just going to walk around naked. You'll forget to clothe the body. But, it makes me think of those stories I heard about Katie with her daughter Roxanne when she first had her awakening. Roxanne had to give her all the rules of planet Earth. Like, oh, Mom, we don't go out in our pajamas during the day. We wear these other kind of clothes. And yeah. So now just contemplate the possibility. Could it be that the mind, the body, and the world is dependent on me, awareness? It's just a contemplation. Could it be everything I experience is dependent on me, awareness?
Well, that before, when without the thought that I'm dependent on my body, that then I feel kind of lost, like nothing is serious, but then and it's still good. Okay, but something needs to be serious, because then what am I doing here?
Yeah, nothing serious. Okay, well, let's say it's true. It's just a fact, nothing serious. Like, everyone is awareness. No one is a body. So in that sense, no one's ever been hurt. They only imagined they were hurt because they really thought they were a body. So let's just say that's true. So now here you are, and you really understand, oh my God, I'm pure awareness. And dreaming this body, dreaming this world. None of it's serious. So if none of it's serious, if that is the truth, then what would you like to do? What do you want to do? I mean, that's all we're left with. Oh, okay, none of it's serious. Now I don't have the story it's serious guiding all my actions, my thinking, feeling, decisions. That story is no longer the rudder of my ship. So now, okay, none of it's serious. well, then what are you left with?
Fun.
I mean, if you were creating a universe, you know, I had this contemplation. I was like, okay, what would be a good what for me would be the best reason to have a universe? And for me, it was just fun. It's gotta be have something to do with fun.
Yeah, just enjoy it.
Just enjoy the trip, this crazy wild trip. So, but Rebetel, sometimes, like a story, like a core story, like it's serious, can be a core story for many of us, and it is what guides us through life, that believing it's serious, it has a feeling, a way of thinking, a way of deciding, that all line up with it's serious. And it's like we have a purpose, we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, we know how to relate to everything. It's serious. And when that story falls away, there can be like a tremendous emptiness, a lostness, like all of a sudden I'm empty of all the reasons, all my reasons for doing things is gone, empty. And so just allow yourself to be completely empty of this story. I guarantee it won't last forever. It's just the first thing in the door. And just sit there in the emptiness, like, okay, it's not serious. Well, what are you left with?
I'm still in the emptiness, but now I feel like it's okay to be there.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm with what you're saying, then it's dropping off not only this story, like all the stories. For me, it always goes to my children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even like the story of me being their mother and they're my children. And
it's serious.
no, I feel like this is also it's a story. It's not
oh,
true.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, so what? Why are they here?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's my job? What do I?
Yeah. So allow yourself to not know, like fully, completely, not know what my job is. Not know what I'm here for. Not know what to do. Not even know like what to be or who to be. And just keep going deeper and deeper into the experience of not knowing.
I'm still in the not knowing, but something is feel like more clear. I don't know, light.
Yeah.
So heavy.
I believe that immediately we'll have a new story.
Well, that's quite possible. It's been known to happen. Have another story rush in and fill the emptiness.
Yeah.
You know, because most of us are really uncomfortable with the emptiness. We can't. We run away from it.
But the emptiness is also a story.
Well,
it's just much more flexible, but it's still a story.
Well, it's the absence of it is, but it seems to be a necessary experience, or a common experience when whatever story has been filling us leaves, there's a corresponding emptiness. And
freedom.
To be able to welcome the emptiness, to allow it, to allow ourselves to be empty for as long as it lasts. But there's a saying that I love. One, Rumi has lots of things about emptiness, the value of emptiness. But my favorite is, I heard, when we stand before God with empty pockets, he fills us with his presence, or she fills us with her presence.
It's the gap between the stories.
Maybe it's the soul and not just a vacuum.
If you need a name for it.
Yeah.
I experience it as an experience of being with no story. And the experience is everything is welcome. This nothing becomes everything at the same time. Like the world can show up now and there is not a problem.
Everything's welcome.
Everything is welcome. There is no story about it. No need for a story.
You can be an observer.
Not even that.
Yeah.
Why do you need a job?
Well, be the observer for as long as you'd like.
Why not?
It's one of the qualities of awareness. It sees, it hears, it listens.
It's aware.
Yeah. You see, but what you're sharing there made me think of a Saint Teresa of Avila poem, trying to find.
Let the poem find you.
Thanks. Thanks, Danny. We get by with a lot of help from our friends. So this is just an excerpt from a poem attributed to Saint Teresa of Avila. Why this great war between the countries inside of us? What are all these insane borders we protect? What are all these different names for the same church of love we kneel in together? For it is true, together we live, and only at that shrine where all are welcome will God sing loud enough to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after many, many years of doing the work, eventually go ahead. Oh, after many, many years of doing the work, I realized that it's like the work is love in action, and that it's welcoming. That one of the qualities of love is love welcomes everything. So the writing, the worksheet, identifying the thoughts, it's welcoming the upset part of us, the confused part of us, and the questions, or you could say welcoming the truth to return. And it's one of my favorite living turnarounds, to welcome everything. So anyway, thank you so much for Revital. Thank you for the invitation to be with you all. Thank you everyone for your participation, bringing your beautiful, beautiful beings here and being willing to share and support each other by our sharing. So, and I definitely think of you guys every day, or think of
so much, Tom. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you, Revital, also.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao, Bella.
Thanks. That was nice.